Good morning, everyone. This is Dana from NexGen, and this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. And we are sharing ways that we can take care of our mental health. And yesterday, I discussed the different levels of comparing ourselves to others. And the link is above if you haven't seen it. So today, I would like to give us alternatives to comparing ourselves to others. It took me a while to figure this out, but I'm a unique person, and it doesn't benefit me to compare myself with others. And this is whether I compare myself up or compare myself down. Homes, cars, job titles, social media likes, the number of ways in which we compare ourselves to others is infinite, and so is the number of people. Comparing ourselves to others, especially strangers, is a way of keeping us focused on what we don't have or don't like about ourselves or our life. I don't know about you, but I don't want to live my life that way. So let's look at some alternatives. Since this is graduation season, I will use my story to illustrate some of the alternatives. I did not go to college right after high school. I graduated with my bachelor's degree the day I turned 30, and I completed my master's degree before my 32nd birthday. I wasn't happy that my friends were able to go to college right after high school, but I had to accept where I was. I couldn't change what I didn't acknowledge. Instead of being upset and resentful, I came to peace with it. This mindset change allowed me to make decisions to move into the right direction. Getting the degrees 9 years later was messy. I was on active duty and I had a young family. I made so many mistakes and I was surrounded by those who were just waiting for me to fail. These adversities helped me become a better, wiser, and more courageous version of myself. I was proud of what I had accomplished and for wanting to create a better life for myself and my family. One of the things that helped me on my journey was I detoxed from social media. Now, granted, this was back in the day, so this included magazines and televisions. I would have been comparing my worst moment with someone else's highlights. Now, don't get me wrong, social media can be a great source of inspiration, but I found that social media was controlling me instead of the other way around. Instead, I was getting frustrated and I was feeling inadequate, and I actually started doubting myself. While I was going through this process and comparing myself to others, I was playing what I call the woulda, shoulda, coulda game. And the scenario is I should have paid more attention to my studies and applied for grants and scholarships so that I would be able to attend college debt free, and I could have graduated at 21. These statements kept me focused on what I was lacking. Instead of using shoulda, woulda, coulda when expressing commitments, I would use the word want. This would shift my inside voice. So let's go ahead and try this again. I want to pay more attention to my studies and apply for grants and scholarships so I can attend college debt free and graduate at 21 years old. So you hear the difference? And speaking of inside voice, there was a mean voice that told me that I was not smart enough. I was the oldest student in the class, probably older than the professor, and that I would not pass these classes and I would have to pay the Air Force back because I was using their tuition assistance. And there was a whole bunch of other negative inside voices. So instead of joining in when the mean voice of comparison popped up, I chose to comfort myself. I exercise regularly because that's what I use when I get upset or anxious. And I gave myself positive self-talks. So the bottom line is, if I wouldn't say it to a good friend, then I shouldn't be saying it to myself. When I was in the military, I was invited to my friends and my coworkers' homes. And at the time I was either living in the dormitory or in base housing. So when I saw their beautiful homes, I started that comparison game. When I focused on my friends and other people who had their own homes, I lost time investing in myself. We don't grow grass by focusing on our neighbor's garden. We do it by nurturing our own. Instead of wasting time comparing my path to someone else's, I spent that time investing, creating, and caring for my own. I was able to purchase my first home after I left active duty. And for me, that was the appropriate time. Sometimes I would compare my behind the scenes work with someone else's big moment. I focused on their success, not the thousands of hours they spent preparing and working for their achievement. Instead of letting other people's triumphs get me down on myself, I let them open me up to possibilities. It was an inspiration for what I can be, do, and have in my life. If I'm not happy where I am today, I just had to know that it was just a snapshot of my life. Where I am today doesn't dictate where I will be next year or even 5 years from now. It doesn't matter where I am. What matters is my mindset, my attitude, and where I'm going. Where I go, I must always be grateful for what I have, especially when I find myself looking at what other people have. I appreciate my loving, supporting family, my wonderful friends, the fact that my needs are met, and that I live in a free country. I shift my focus from what I don't have to what I have. And I tell you, I know I'm not perfect. There will always be someone wealthier, smarter, cuter. I doubt that. But there's always going to be someone in those categories. Trying to be perfect is not a good solution for me. So instead of getting down on myself for my flaws and my imperfections, I fully accept them. I am perfectly imperfect. And part of my imperfection was that I used to make fear-based decisions. For example, I stayed in jobs and even relationships too long. My choices should have been based on love and not fear. For example, I moved to Denver for a job that I was really excited about. It was a teaching job. That was based on love. Then I stayed there too long because I was afraid of what would happen if I quit or left. Now that's based on fear. So you see the difference? Getting the job, going for the job, I was excited about it. That was love. Staying too long and not moving on, that was based on fear. And when I make fear-based decisions out of insecurity and a feeling of scarcity, it doesn't go well. Love must be the foundation for my choices. I must ask myself, what would love do right now? If I'm going to compare myself to anyone, it should be me. What can I do to improve the quality of my life? How can I be a better and more loving person? How can I be nicer to myself than I was yesterday? I am the only person that I can compare myself with. If the story I'm telling myself isn't one of empowerment, strength, and optimism, then I need to tell a better story. For example, instead of blaming myself for mistakes in the past, I need to remind myself that I did my best and that I learned from those mistakes. Comparing ourselves to others often leaves us feeling frustrated, anxious, and paralyzed about moving forward. It doesn't help. It just takes away valuable time and energy that could have been spent on building our future. Whenever we focus on what we don't have, that other people have, we give away our power. Every minute spent on comparing our path to someone else's is a minute lost on creating our own path. I hope these alternatives help you focus on you to be the best you can be. Now, changing my mindset gave me the power to create and not doubt and destroy. As always, feel free to add some of your examples in the comments section of alternatives to comparing yourself with others. I hope you found this information helpful. Don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And also, I've included additional information in the description below. Have a great day.